Right after my divorce, I walked into a restaurant with a woman on my arm. My neighbors were sitting right there at a table at the entrance, the couple directly across the street from my house. People who had watched me and my wife enter and exit our driveway for years. They had no idea we were even getting divorced. I had to stand there and explain it right then, right there, with her standing right next to me in a small town where everybody knew everybody and everybody knew her because she worked at the one and only grocery store in town. Just one store. Everyone went there and everybody knew her. That moment should have told me everything I needed to know about where I was at. I wasn't ready. I was nowhere near ready. I was just a handful of months out of a marriage, still bleeding, still lost, and I was standing there in a restaurant trying to explain my divorce to my neighbors with a woman who I barely knew beside me. It was one of the most uncomfortable moments of my life, and I ignored every bit of what it was telling me. That relationship lasted maybe a couple months because it was never really built on her. It was about me trying to outrun the pain, trying to shortcut the process that can't be shortcutted. Here is what nobody tells you when your marriage ends. You cannot replace what you had until you heal from what you lost. And healing from a marriage, a real marriage, one where you stood in front of your loved ones and made vows and where you built a life together, that takes a long time, longer than you think. Longer than anyone wants it to, and there is no relationship, no matter how good she is, no matter how beautiful she is, no matter how well you connect, that's not going to speed up the process. If anything, it's going to slow it down, because when you jump into something new before you're ready, you're not giving that new relationship a real chance. You're asking another person to compete with a ghost. Your ex-wife is still living rent-free in your head. You're comparing everything, every dinner, every conversation, every moment of quiet. Everything either reminds you of what you had or falls short of it. And that's not fair to you, and that's surely not fair to her either. I know because I lived it. After that relationship fizzled out, I stopped dating. Not because I made some big decision about it, but because I realized I just wasn't ready. My mind wasn't free. My ex-wife was still there. The marriage was still in there. All that pain, all that loss, and all for what ifs. What ifs are still in there. And honestly, as much as I wanted to meet someone, I was scared. Scared of falling in love again, scared of opening myself up and going through that kind of pain for a second time. The idea of dating sounded good in theory. I wanted that connection. I wanted someone in my life, but every time I got close to it, the memories would just line up, and it was just all a lot of hurt, all a lot of damage, all of the things that went wrong, and it just became too much. The pain was just stronger than the desire to date, so I stepped back for a long time. And so you sit with it alone, missing everything you lost while being too afraid to go looking for it again. You miss things that you don't even expect to miss during that period. You miss the emotional connection, not just the intimacy, not just the companionship, the deep, quiet connection that makes you a better man. And I know that about myself. I am more motivated, more driven, more alive when I have someone I'm emotionally attached to, someone who gives me a reason to push harder and be more. Losing it doesn't just leave you lonely, it leaves you directionless. You miss knowing someone so well that you can talk to them without even speaking and look across a room and with a shared thought that doesn't even need words. That kind of connection takes years, and you just can't recreate that overnight with someone new, no matter how hard you try. And yes, you want to replace all of that. That wanting is real and it is valid, but wanting something doesn't mean you're ready for it. Think of it this way. If you break your leg, you have to go through the full healing process before you can walk again. You can't skip the cast. You can't skip the physical therapy. You can't decide that one day that you've been patient long enough and just start running. Your body will tell you exactly where you're at. Healing from a divorce works the same way, except the injury is invisible and no one can see it but you. I had to learn to trust again. I had to get my drinking under control. I had to get my mind to a healthy healthy place. I had to work through things I'd been carrying for years, not just from the marriage, but from long before that. All of this took time, real time, not just a few weeks, and surely not just a few months. A divorce doesn't just end a relationship. It rewires you. It twists your thinking in ways you don't fully understand until you've been on the other side of it. It changes how you see yourself, how you see women, how you see commitment. You will never be exactly the same. You will never be the same man you were before. And honestly, that's not entirely a bad thing, but you have to give yourself time to figure out who this new version of you actually is before you bring someone else into that picture. Because if you don't, if you skip that work, you don't just hurt yourself. You bring all of that unhealed weight into a new relationship, and that relationship will buckle under it. And it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. I'm 4 years out now, and only in the last 6 months have I really felt genuinely ready. Not just willing, ready. The difference is everything. Willing is wanting to fill that void. Ready is knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and being able to show up for someone else without your past sitting in the chair next to you. And that shift doesn't happen overnight. It was gradual, a slow releasing, a slow letting go of anger towards the people that hurt me, a gradual progression of forgiveness, not just toward them, but toward myself as well. Because I had done things wrong too. I wasn't a perfect man in the marriage. I wasn't perfect in all of the aftermath. And learning to forgive yourself for your own part, your own part in things, that might be the hardest piece of it all. But it's the piece that sets you free. So if you're in the middle of your divorce right now, or you just came out from the other side, or you're already thinking about the next relationship, I want you to hear this. Don't date to fill the void. Don't date to prove something to yourself or to her or to anyone watching. Don't date because you're lonely or scared or because the nights are just too quiet. Date with purpose. Date when you know who you are and what you want and what you're willing to bring to another person's life. Date when you're not dragging the ghost of your last relationship into every conversation. One day you will find someone worth showing up for. One day you will sit across from a woman and feel present, actually present, not haunted, not comparing, not halfway somewhere else in your own head. But that day requires you to do the work first. You cannot replace what you had until you heal from what you lost. And healing is not a shortcut. You can take it as a road that you have to walk. Walk it. Walk all of it. The right person deserves the healed version of you and the honest version of you, so you can have that connection again. And if this resonated with you, subscribe. There's a lot more to this story.